I'm Kyle Bachus. On April 28th of 2020, my mom was killed as a result of someone else's negligence. It's completely changed my life and the way I practice law. If you too have felt the pain of losing a loved one and you don't know where to turn, let me be your guide on what to do next when the unthinkable happens. One of the first things you're likely to encounter after the police investigation is the criminal justice system. This is where the government is deciding to bring charges against the person who caused the death or catastrophic injury. And when they're bringing those charges, what they're essentially saying is you, the person who caused the harm, violated society's rules. And so the players in that system are the prosecutor. The prosecutor works for the government or hired by the government, and their job is to bring the person charged with the crime to court to try to convict the person who caused the harm of breaking society's laws. The judge is there. Now, the judge is basically an umpire, a referee, like you would see in a sporting event. They're not there to prosecute. They're not there on behalf of government. They're there to call balls and strikes, to make sure that the proceedings are fair, and to make sure that the rules are followed in the process. Just think of them as a referee. And then you have the public defender or the private attorney that may be hired by the person who's been accused. And they're there, the opposite of the prosecutor. That public defender or private lawyer is there to defend the person who has been charged and to try to come up with loopholes or ways to get them off or to lessen the charges or situation. Those are the players who are involved in the process. In the criminal justice system, I think it's important for you to understand that most families aren't satisfied with the outcome of the criminal justice system. And that's not the fault of the police and it's not the fault of the prosecutor. It's basically the fault of the way that the system is designed. And the system is designed such that if you intentionally cause harm, you're going to really get the most significant punishment. But if you accidentally cause harm, the punishment is going to be a misdemeanor level, which may result in, best case scenario, maybe a very short stint of time in jail, maybe no jail time, a fine of $1,000, maybe a loss of a driver's license. But when you look at the scales of justice, it doesn't seem to add up. And so I caution you that going into the criminal justice system, you're likely to not be satisfied with the end result. And I can tell you in my own case, after their investigation, police determined that they were going to charge the truck driver who ran over and killed my mom. They were going to charge him with careless driving resulting in death. Unfortunately, at the time that my mom was killed, the police officer who was responsible for bringing the charges forgot to check the box on the ticket that said resulting in death, and instead just issued a ticket to the driver for careless driving. That driver smartly saw that that's what the charges were and immediately went down and pled guilty to the careless driving. As a result, got a $180 fine. Once the police department saw that they had made a mistake, they tried to reissue the second ticket the right way, careless driving resulting in death. The judge threw it out because he had already pled guilty to the original charge that they brought, and the judge said you can't bring a second case against him for the same event. And so that's an example of what can happen when criminal justice system is outside the control of the family. And disappointment. Talk about disappointment. Most police officers don't make the mistake. And I know the police officer who wrote the ticket incorrectly, and I know she felt horribly about it, and I know she tried to do the right thing. But, my family is the one who has to live with the consequences of that forever. And so there is another system, right? The civil justice system, which we can talk about later, that does give the family the right to bring a claim and the right to control the proceedings. But in the criminal justice system, it's important for you to be present and involved. And even if you are, things could go wrong, as what happened to my family. Here I am a lawyer. I've been doing this for 28 years. And that's what happened on the criminal side of our case, despite our efforts, despite my meeting with the police chief, despite our active involvement. So it's really important for you to understand the limitations of the criminal justice system as you start going down this path.